Hi guys, my name is Fiona Lynn, and if you're new here, I just want to do a little introduction. So, over 20 years ago now, I was kind of thrown into the deep end with business. I knew absolutely nothing about business at all, but I inherited a family company, and overnight I had to become a director. And I had to learn all about the responsibilities of being a director and how to show up as the kind of person who runs a company, who understands where it needs to go strategically and then implements and lays that out. Also understands like the legal framework of a company, understands how to manage operations and staff. It was just an absolute uphill struggle for a 21-year-old, I can tell you. And bearing in mind, I was still at university at this time, and I had a pretty heavy workload anyway. I went to Oxford University. We had two essays to do a week. It was really, really full on, 8-week terms, long holidays, but they weren't holidays at all. We always had work to do in the holidays. And in the middle of all of that, I had to learn how to become a company director. Not only that, but in my first year of business, I had to deal with a hostile company takeover. I had to approach a bank for £250,000 worth of funds. I'd honestly never set foot in a bank before other than to set up my student account, and that was pretty much it. So then to negotiate and prepare for that level of loan was just totally beyond me. And looking back, in a way, I think it was the most amazing preparation for being in business. Because let's be really honest here. When we're growing and expanding our companies and getting to where we need to be, don't we often feel unprepared for that next step? So, in a way, although it was really uncomfortable, and also although I didn't have the resources and the support in place that I needed, and I certainly didn't have the knowledge and the skills and experience that I needed to run that kind of company at the time. And it was really, really kind of rough. And quite honestly, I didn't do it very well. But at the same time, looking back, I do not regret any piece of it because it has prepared me to run subsequent companies a lot better. And I think that's something that perhaps in the UK we're not really good at recognizing. And actually, in the US, I think they're a lot better at recognizing that most people go through subsequent business failures as they're finding their feet and they're really learning the landscape of entrepreneurship. But I do think it's possible to come out of these challenges much stronger, much more prepared, much more resilient to cope with the kind of things that business throws at us all the time. And I think because I do have that wealth of experience, I think that's why I really was drawn to business consulting, because I wanted to share what I'd learned for myself. And what I've realized is that I'm uniquely positioned to help people in that situation because in 2008 we had the global credit crunch and the bottom fell out of our business entirely. And I went through a really, really difficult and uncomfortable business failure. And I really took it personally. I thought I hadn't given enough. I thought I hadn't done enough. I thought I'd done all these things wrong. I felt there were so many people depending on me and I'd let them down. It was just a truly awful and demoralizing experience, and I took it very much to heart. And honestly, it put the brakes on me as an entrepreneur for a lot of years. I think after the initial impact, where I was very much in the trenches, trying to keep things going, trying to make it look like there was nothing going on behind the scenes, that I was coping with this, that I would get through this, and it all folded behind me. And after that, I did a lot of soul searching. I frankly went to ground. I felt absolutely exhausted. I felt like mentally drained. Felt like there was no way I could ever run another company again. And what made it even worse was even though looking back, that experience made me a better entrepreneur, a stronger business owner, and a much stronger and more informed business consultant. Actually, there was no way, the way I felt about myself at the time, that I could have brought myself to putting myself out there as a business consultant, even though I had a track record of success in that industry. It was very much an internal game and one that I was losing at that time. I think it took me around 3 years to get to the point where I decided no, enough was enough, and I needed to really get back into my business consulting. But I did not feel ready at that point. I was ready for things to change. I was fed up. I decided, no, I deserve more than this. I'm worth more than this. But my confidence was pretty much still in the toilet, and I knew I needed to do a bit of work on that. So I started getting really into personal development, personal growth, and I started learning more about how I could do so much to have control over my own thoughts and emotions. And in doing so, I could begin to turn around the situation that I found myself in. And sure enough, I did get back to business. I did get back to working with business clients again. And I brought with me this wealth of information, of knowledge, and also a dose of humility because I hadn't experienced 100% track record of success. I'd actually seen the sharp end of business failure and what that demands of you as a business owner. And I really believe that it's only through going through these challenges and experiences that we start to recognize who we are and what we're truly capable of. Because to come back from that is an amazing thing. And again, to experience success in the contrast of that failure was even sweeter. So that was around 2012 that I really started looking at personal growth, personal development. I looked into coaching, I had my own coaching, and I realized in many ways that's what I had been doing with my previous business consulting clients, that I'd been acting as a mentor and a coach. And that was definitely something that I was drawn to do. It was just a natural expression of who I am as a person. And yet I'd also stumbled on this whole new world of tools and tricks and strategies and mindset hacks that people use, and I'd used them also successfully for myself. So it was pretty obvious to me that I needed to incorporate that into my business consulting work. So around 2015, I'd been doing a contract job, which was great for paying the bills and great for getting my confidence up, and also gave me some time outside the workplace to be able to envision and lay out my new business and what that looked like. And I was starting to look at what was being delivered online, and I thought, do you know what? I could do that as well. So it took me probably another 3 years of doing this kind of deep soul searching and personal development work to get to the point where I felt I was really ready to start my own business again. So I started learning about how I could shift my business online and deliver some courses and programs so that I could help more people. And also at a potentially much more accessible price point. Business consulting does not come cheap, although it is often tax deductible. And it is obviously an incredible level of support to have in your business if you're at that point where your business can afford it. But having been in a place where money was tight, I wanted to be able to give something back to those businesses who weren't quite ready to afford the investment at that level. And so if that's you, I've got so many resources here, so do check them out. I've got a free CEO Toolkit, which is amazing if you're feeling a little bit stressed or overwhelmed at the moment, or if you're really wanting to get clarity on your next steps. It may be that you need to look at your vision again, and it may be that needs to really expand to excite you again. So I encourage you to go and download the CEO Toolkit, which you can get by going to fionalynn.co.uk/toolkit. And when you download that, you can also get access to 3 days worth of audios, which will just take you through that process. So if you prefer to work that way, where you can just listen in your own time, and then you can look at the toolkit and you can answer some of the journaling questions in there. But maybe the time for you is now and you know that you need that support like yesterday. And if that's the case, I'd encourage you to go and find my program Catalyst, which is my 4-week introductory one-to-one program. It'll give you a brilliant idea of what it's like to work with me as a coach. Whether you're just starting out in business or whether you've been in business for years and it's a case of transitioning to that next level, maybe even starting something completely new, you can work with me for 4 weeks one-to-one, and you can really get some energy and momentum behind that business. So stick around, check out what I've got on offer. I wish you every success in your business. Take care, and I hope to speak to you soon.